walls came down when your love shone through. Now my life will never be the same. You love me too much to let me stay this way. Jesus, there's freedom in your name. You break every chain, oh Lord, 'cause you are
UCAN Studios. I am Isaac, and I'm your host. And today we have Scott Clink. Say good morning.
Good morning.
Before we get to Scott, please go to UCANMichigan.com. If you know anyone that's struggling with drug rehabilitation issues or mental health, don't let anybody struggle by themselves. You can click on there, click on struggling. You'll have someone call within 24 hours to help your family or friends. We all know we all struggle sometimes. If you know anyone that's struggling with food or clothes or baby formula or needs of any kind, please go to spiritualwarfareunit.com. Click on struggling. We have 20 nonprofits that has everything from insurance to clothes to jobs, all kinds of stuff. Please go on there. It's free or next to free for those people that are struggling. All right. Good morning, Scott. How are we doing?
I am blessed, man.
All right. So I've been kind of looking for this interview for a while, and give people a basic overview of like what happened, what we're going to be talking about. We're going to tease them a little bit with the end there.
So on the Saturday afternoon of the Michigan-Ohio State football game, tragedy hit my home, caught on fire. My wife and I were trapped upstairs in an old house, and without God's help, we would have never made it out.
All right, so that's the tantalizing beginning. Perfect. All right, so before we get into that cool part, where'd you grow up? Were you here in Genesee County, Flint area?
So I was born and raised here in Flint. My story really starts at birth. I was an underdog from the moment I was born.
How does that happen at birth?
Not breathing.
Oh.
And bad asthma. Spent my first 18 months of life in the hospital. My mother told the stories of how I'd stopped breathing, and they knew they couldn't call an ambulance. They'd scoop me up and take me over to McLaren. So the neighbors had like a little thing going on. They always had someone available, and I spent a lot of time in the
Scott
hospital.
Watch?
Scott Watch is what it was called, I'm pretty sure.
No kidding.
And in those 18 months, I have a memory.
Okay. You have a memory at 18 months?
I have a memory of somewhere before 18 months.
Wow, okay.
And it's me being in the hospital bed, and I can see the crib, and it has the toy on the side with the knobs on it, and you can play with that.
Yeah.
My parents and grandparents are in silhouette, and this beautiful white light is on me.
Really?
Just this beautiful white light. Now, growing up as an adolescent and young adult, I didn't think much of it. I thought it was
would it have been the warming light that they would?
See, I always thought it was a doorway, the light from the doorway. But when I started, with my spirituality in my 30s, and I come to realize what it really was God's presence in that room.
No kidding.
And I don't know why it would have been with me all my life, that one memory. And from there, I had always known that God was this beautiful thing that was going to be with me. I've always been able to look in the mirror and love that person.
Okay.
All of my problems and everything. But I knew that was God with me, and He's been with me all my life.
So you grow up, you make it through that, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, growing up, were you
I had a typical
sports? Did you do?
Yeah, I mean, you had to in your neighborhood. I was born on Saget or Clio Road in Pasadena area over there. Went to Northern High School and all that. And,
all right.
We had a typical, I'm 62, just turned 62 yesterday. And, hey, we had 1 million kids in the neighborhood. We had a great childhood, but you were measured by sports.
Your sports abilities,
and I was always the underdog. I was one of the last kids picked. I had coordination and all that, and loved hockey, but I was always slow, no arm for baseball or bat or anything like that.
So you said you'd always, weight was the thing that you'd always struggle with, right?
Yeah, probably, I was really sick until I was probably around 10, and then I ended up probably growing out of the asthma to some degree. And I was, the family trait was to be overweight. Father was, big guy and all that. So, I ended up being the husky kid,
so you're the chubby guy. I was a chubby kid for a minute. I had asthma too, so I can feel that.
Yeah.
So, going there, anything really specific that like molded your brain from like the 10 to 15 time period? You just kind of school,
really,
school.
I was very blessed to have the parents that I had because it was. I came from a home that was unconditional love.
That's cool.
I was showered with it, and it's molded me. My father and my mother.
Okay.
With that love.
Were you like a nerd in high school?
No, I was just the average kid that loved sports. I played hockey. I built an ice rink in my yard every year.
Wow.
And when it was cold enough to do that.
Yeah.
Back in the day, and
so you were building stuff then too.
Yeah, man, yeah.
That's the way. My mind doesn't work that way. I mean, we always had our group of dudes that we went out and played basketball and baseball. And
right.
Wait until the lights come on. You come home, stay out as late as possible.
And I admired a lot of the older kids, and I think that helped form helped me with what happened later on in life. I admired the guys that were, that take charge of stuff and were able to, do what they needed to do when the time came.
All right. Did you get picked on a lot?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I was the chubby kid and all that.
I mean, it helps actually because it builds you up a skin, right? You don't realize that, but you get it when you're like, all right.
I think so.
So, graduated from high school when? What year?
79.
1979.
Flint Northern.
And then what?
My family were Masons, so that was the family business, and
they built brick buildings.
Yeah, and I looked at my uncles. They're all old, getting beat on, and I'm like, maybe you don't want to do this for a living. Yeah. So the opportunity came. A friend of mine moved down to Fort Lauderdale and said, hey, you can come on down here and stay with us.
All right, hold on. How did that happen?
My friend, she was someone that didn't have parental guidance at all. Her mother had left him at a young age.
Gotcha.
She was raised by her father, and so she was a free spirit.
Gotcha.
And she was chasing after someone down there, or went down there, and she said, hey, come on down.
All right, so you went down. This is 79?
This is probably 83.
83.
So I was in the concrete bit, the mason.
Oh, so you started out of high school doing that because you could make your money. Okay.
Yeah.
So you have an in, you're doing bricklaying, which is tough work, man. It's hard to be chubby and do that work. I mean, you gotta get to, you get to, you strong, got the bricks, got the guns coming then, right?
Yeah.
All right, so at 23, you're like, all right, I'm going to follow my friend down to Florida to do what?
Let's see what we can do. I mean, I'm 23.
Well, you said opportunity, so I didn't. So
I'm
you were
20,
chasing the girl, or
I was pretty much chasing her.
Nothing wrong with that. So you go down to Fort Lauderdale.
Fort Lauderdale.
That's beautiful, right?
Yeah, it was pretty nice.
Early 80s too, right?
Yeah, and I survived.
Yeah,
and I was blessed that I survived.
Don Johnson with the white jacket.
Oh, the whole thing, man. It was crazy.
No socks and the loafers, looking tan.
Man, yeah.
That's cool.
It was quite a time.
All right, so what'd you do? What'd you do?
So I get down there, and I had never seen the ocean before, but I knew I had a connection with it. So,
really? Okay.
I kind of just hung out for a while, and I ran out of money, and it was time to find a job. Walking around, got a job at a really nice steakhouse down there, and got in the restaurant business.
Doing what? Cooking?
No, wait staff.
Oh, okay.
We had a really nice wine list, expensive wine list and all that. So went through all that and got tested and worked in that business.
Wait, you got to get tested on the wine list?
To be a lead server, you have to.
Dude, that's something I need you afterwards. You're going to have to. I enjoy wines.
It was
a
really 2-hour exam to be a lead waiter at this restaurant.
How many wines are we talking about?
Well, it wasn't just wine, but it was
like the whole menu.
We had French and French, Italian, Australian, German, Americans, and all that. So
okay. So you take the test, you get the job. I'm assuming you're making bank.
Well, I started as a busboy though. You started out doing that, and then you work your way up.
Okay.
And so I was there for 7 years. So, like in year 2.
Hold on. 7 years. So, at 83, that puts you at 22, 23?
I think I was 23 in 1984, I believe.
So this would put you at 30.
Something like that.
All right. Before you break into this, we got to go to our first break. This goes by super fast.
Yep.
If this is your first time, please go to Spiritual Warfare Unit. Like, share, and subscribe so we can help others. Sit tight. We're going to be right back. Taking a quick break from our podcast, I wanted to let you know about our life application program that we have for churches and nonprofits in the area that are trying to find programming that they can use in case the corona shuts you down and you're not able to get in. You go to spiritualwarfareunit.com. You click on our episodes, and you can check out our programs for as little as $29.99 a month to make sure that we're still getting the word out to those people that need it. Now, back to the program. Like, take a test and memorize all that stuff to be on the way. I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
But, all right, so you do all that, and
So
you're 30.
Yeah, but we'll back up a little bit.
Okay.
So after 3 years or so, I'd played golf as a kid, but not very well. My dad was a great golfer and and all that, but I wasn't very good at it, but I'd played. And I met the head pro from Inverary, where Jackie Gleason had his tournament every year. And
No kidding.
He was a regular
Cool.
customer at the restaurant.
Yeah.
I got to know him, and he invited us to play out. I had a friend that moved with me down to Florida, and so she was a golfer. So we played a couple times at the golf course, really nice golf course, and I asked him for a day job. So I was working the restaurant at night, and then my first golf job was bringing up golf carts in the morning.
Okay.
So from there, I worked all the different jobs as a starter and a ranger in the bag room, in the locker room, and all that.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of experience, but not as a golf pro.
Yeah, I got you.
So,
and that process took you how long to go through all them jobs?
I was there for probably 6 years or so.
All right. So all this time, we're getting to around 30. So what happened? You got to be a golf pro.
So not yet.
Oh.
So I meet this woman, my first wife.
Okay.
And she was from Dallas, and we're still in Fort Lauderdale. And
you're how old?
And I'm something like 30. I think
Okay.
it was right in there. And we ended up getting married and moving to New Orleans.
Hold on. How long did you date?
6 months or
6 months.
maybe not even that.
Hold on. So your whole life is set. You're doing restaurants and you're doing golfing. You get married 6 months. You decide New Orleans. Why New Orleans?
Her daughter was going to high school there, living with my
okay.
sister, and she wanted to be back there for school.
Okay.
Now, I hadn't had really even a real serious relationship until I met my first wife. So
Yeah.
I got serious, of course. I fell in love.
Yeah, of course.
She was going. I'm not gonna.
You're not staying. You're going.
I'm going with her.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
what do? You go there and you do what?
I moved there, get a job at a golf course.
Nice.
And then come to find out, I couldn't afford my first wife.
Outstanding.
So
how long
we
did that take?
realized It took a few months.
A few whole months.
Yeah, a few months.
Outstanding. And then what?
She took off back to Dallas, and I moved back to Florida.
Wait a minute. She was in Dallas. How did she get to Florida?
She was in Dallas and ran away from. I think the story was she got pregnant, and her boyfriend was
Married
an Israeli or something, and it just broke up. And then she found me. I gave her all the love that he never gave her, or respected her, and we hit it off. But we soon realized that it wasn't going to work out.
Outstanding. So you do what? You go back to Florida?
I go back to Florida. Yeah, I had no regrets, and it was a learning experience and all that, and broke my heart. But I moved back.
Yeah.
It's time to move on.
So what happened then?
So I get back to Florida, and let's see what happened. And I get a job at a hospital pushing people around to get X-rays. A friend of mine was working there. He goes, "Hey, we'll chase some nurses around. I'll get you a job." So
Nice.
there, and I just happen to have this energy that connects with people. So everybody has to get an X-ray when they come in the hospital. So I met everybody. I held hands, people that were dying, and because I befriended them, and
Cool.
And something like I would hear someone crying, and I would walk in a room, and this one guy, an older fella, no family, doctor told him he's going to die, and he was crying. I held his hand and talked to him.
Wow.
So one day, I had just gotten my time in, and they're going to send me to school to be an X-ray tech. Okay. And I'm pushing this guy down to get an X-ray. He has a Pebble Beach golf shirt on. So I start talking to him. "Hey, you a golfer?" We start talking, and his name was Chuck, and he was end-stage AIDS. So this is probably 90, something like that.
Yeah.
90. And we just kind of hit it off. I didn't know about him. We didn't talk about each other. We talked about life.
Yeah.
I'd stop in a couple times during the day to see how Chuck was doing, and he was end stage. And one day he asked me for a resume after about a week, because I told him about all my experience.
Yeah.
Well, Chuck just happened to be a third-generation golf professional, head pro at this club in New Jersey for 30 years, and part owner of this one in Fort Lauderdale. You want to be a golf pro? I mean, I'm making peanut money. I'm making 50-cent hamburgers, but learning about life. Just learning about life. Next thing I know, I'm working at an Italian country club right outside of New York City.
Wow.
Okay, so, I mean, that was quite a story. I didn't have a car or anything, and I had a job.
Yeah,
He paid me $500 a week plus lesson money. I just needed to get up there. So, so my wheels start turning. I don't have a place to live or nothing, right?
Yeah.
So I find this auto drive-away company, put down $200 to a deposit, and I can drive someone's car. I had to take it up to Yonkers.
No kidding.
So I got about $200 in my name after that.
Right.
But I have a job.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got a job, and I found
no
a way
place
to get
live,
there.
Though.
Right.
Okay. So I drive up there, and I find the country club, and it's in the residential area. Brooke Shields just happened to live right across the street from us.
Oh, it just happened.
You know,
Where?
It was in Hallworth, New Jersey.
Okay.
So I find the country club. It's on Sunday night, and someone was there, and so I talked to someone, and then I needed a place to stay.
Yeah.
So I remember a Radisson, just not too far away.
Okay.
So I drive over there. It's $90. I have like $190 in my pocket.
Yeah.
That's it.
So that's halfway
I have a job,
home,
man. Right.
Yeah.
So I spend the night there, and I go back to the club, and I dump off my belongings in a closet there. I have to deliver this car.
Yeah.
Okay, what are you going to do? Okay, so I call that guy up and get directions. I have to drive to Yonkers, New York, right?
Nice.
So I find it, drop the car off. Now I have to take subway into the city.
Yeah.
And then a bus out to a place called Bergenfield, which is in New Jersey out there. And so I do that, and I'm hungry, and I'm getting a lunch, and I get a newspaper out, and I'm looking for a room to rent. Oh, there's one room for rent.
Nice.
And I call the guy up. Yeah, $75 a week, and you can start tonight. So I had a place.
Nice.
Then I start work the next day.
So you started work, and this puts you at what, 31, 32?
Something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, close to that.
And how did that work out for you?
So I didn't have a vehicle, but
I didn't think you need one, though.
he was never going to, well, you still got to get back and forth to work.
Yeah, but the subs.
Well, no, you're out in a residential area. So, So this is like city, Flushing or something like that,
Yeah.
And so his wife, Chuck's wife, was working in the golf shop. She took me to work, back and forth to work for a week, and they paid me $500, and I bought a bicycle. So
nice.
Then I was off and running, man.
All right, so you got the bicycles. Now you're getting exercise, and you're doing golf pro stuff. And what was that life like?
It was pretty awesome.
I mean, the
right
views,
outside
the
of New
people.
York City. Yeah, I loved it out there. It was an Italian club. They welcomed me in their homes, and they were just great.
Food
people.
had to just smack your lips are smacking your gums to get it back there, right?
Oh yeah, it was pretty amazing. So
Man, that's cool.
So I spent 5 years there, but that first winter that I came back that I came back to Florida after moved to Jersey, so I came back for the winters to Florida.
Yeah.
I knew that all that good stuff that happened in the hospital is the reason why that.
All right, so how did you said so the golf course closes for the winter, and then you went back to Florida to do what? Work at the restaurant or work at the golf club?
Just have fun. I wasn't working.
Oh, you saved money, and then you retired.
I got no family, nothing. I mean,
wow, you were a snowbird early.
Yeah, man.
Living the dream.
I've been doing this for 30 years. I tell people I've been half retired for over 30 years.
Yeah.
I work 7 months and have 5 months off.
Well, I mean, who doesn't?
Yeah, but I mean, like right now, I work at a car wash in the winter.
Right, and you could have been a bricklayer, but you passed.
Yeah.
Wow, that's super cool. So you did this, you said, for 5 years.
5 years, yeah.
Right. Anything else super interesting happened in that 5 years?
Just stories, But,
But so single, didn't nothing serious.
Nothing. And then I came back to. I went back to Florida for a couple of years, and my buddy was a pilot for Southwest Airlines and said, "Scott, I need you to look after my dog and my house." He built a new house on a golf course. Yeah. And he had a Great Dane named Blaze.
Nice.
Said, "You take care of my dog for me." So I spent a couple of years doing that, and then he had a girlfriend. She was a pilot also. And
Nice.
they came home one day from work saying that she was pregnant.
Okay.
And they wanted to know if I would be the nanny. And I said,
the nanny for the baby.
Yeah. And I said, nah, I'll pass on that. So I brought got my belongings, and I drove home and just to see what was going on in the springtime. And
all right, hold on. Before you get to this part, we got to take another break.
Yep.
Thank you so much for coming to the Spiritual Warfare Unit. Sit tight. We'll be right back.
Every name, Jesus, oh, he set me free.
Hey, it's Aaron with UCAN. We're down here at the Unity Fest the Heart of Flint is putting on, Kersley Park Pavilion over here on the east side. Doing a lot of great things out here with a lot of great people. There's all types of vendors, people giving away food and water and clothing, just a lot of resources for the community. UCAN's out here, and we're talking to a lot of people already whose loved ones have been afflicted by the disease of addiction. So we're able to get our information out, hopefully be able to provide resources to those folks in the future.
There's freedom in your name, Jesus. There's freedom in your name. You break every
All right, here we are at Unity Fest 2, and I'm here with the promoter, Jeremy. How are we doing today, buddy?
Good, man. How you doing?
Doing great. We're here at the UCAN tent, handing out for United Community Addiction Network, getting everybody here helped out. It looks like a full house. How many people do you think are here?
Oh, a few hundred. We just opened, so I think it's going to get better, though, today. Because
All right, and how many people you got playing today?
we have 3 artists. We got Shantae Music, and we have Nick Hill, who's out of Saginaw, and then End of I. I don't know who they are, but...
All right, welcome back to the Warriors Way. Our warrior this week is Scott Clink, and he's telling us his story. We're going to get to the miracle here in a little while. And but you're basically living the dream from New York to Florida, and you're hanging out with everybody, golfing and eating, and
having a blast.
living at your pilot buddy's house, watching it for him.
Yeah.
And so then his girlfriend gets pregnant, and she says, "Hey, do you want to be a nanny?" He said, "Eh." And so now you'd been doing this for about, I don't know, for about 5 years, give or take. So you're 40?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay, so you're 40, and you're like, okay, don't want to do the baby uncle thing. So what do you do?
Come back to visit the family. Springtime, we'll figure it out.
Go to Michigan.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah. So came back up here, and my father worked at the GM plant and the V8 plant, and some of the members at the Elks Club. And he came back from work on a Sunday and said they're looking for a pro over at the Elks Club, teaching pro. So I'm like, okay. So I call him up. His name's Boyd Barth. He's my current boss still. And walked in and looked at me and had a little resume. And he looked at me and asked me one question: what was the most important thing about this job? And I said, just making sure the members and their guests feel at home when they get here. He goes, "You're hired."
You're hired. All right, so you get hired with the Elks, and like I said, you're in your very early 40s, late 30s, early 40s. So you move back to Michigan from New York to Florida. That's very interesting. And then what?
So because of the work at the hospital and some of the things that I did, I knew that volunteer work was going to be important to me. So I always wanted to find my little niche. So when I came back here, actually, I'll back up a little bit. When I was in Florida, I ended up getting into hospice work because my friend Chuck died that summer. He didn't make it back up to work that year.
I remember you mentioning that you were doing hospice,
and he
and you liked it.
Yeah, it's a gift for
because that's not like a thing that everybody likes, but you liked that. Can you tell me why that was the thing?
It was just something inside of me that I connect with people. So an example, I was a respite worker. So what would go on is they would assign me a client, and I'd show up, and then the family got to go out and do whatever they needed to do, and I would spend a few hours with them.
So wait a minute. You just like that light when you were 18 months, and you had that. You were kind of that for people. That's kind of cool. All right, sorry, it just clicked in my brain. All right, so you're doing hospital because most people hate that stuff, and that's really cool that you like this.
Right, and I'll tell you I've had a couple of great patients. One, he was like 52 at the time and had an inoperable brain tumor, no family, living in a nursing home, and they knew that he was a golfer, so they had me, be his guy.
Yeah. And
he was an amazing man. And so I took him to the golf course. He really couldn't play, but we putted a little bit and did some things. And I remember that he was going to sing a song. He was a composer and an artist and all that. And he was going to sing "Oh Danny Boy" at some festival. So we worked on that with him, and he got to do that. But
he got to do it?
He got to do it.
That's cool.
Okay. And
all right, so that's cool. So you're doing that. So then what happened?
So when I get here, I ended up meeting somebody at the club that worked in that ran the pediatric ward at Hurley. You want to be a volunteer there? Oh, absolutely. So I ended up the guy with the turtle hat and the backpack full of toys, and I'd go, "Hey, who needs some smiles today?" And I had all the hand to, all the fun stuff.
Yeah.
So I did that for a while.
Okay.
And then I got into therapy dog. I had this beautiful Rottweiler named Colonel.
That's right. And
Colonel
it's a Rottweiler as a therapy
Colonel
dog.
Maximus Clink.
Yeah, because your last name's Clink, so you named him Colonel Clink.
She
Oh,
was
that's
amazing.
perfect.
You know, he was just a loving dog. I had a Siberian at the time also, and we used to walk. I used to walk the Siberian and the Rottweiler at the
Those
same
are some
time.
monsters,
So
bro.
the kids would come flying over, and they just loved it. And he just ate it all up. So I just, you know, things in life, they fall in your lap, and you have to recognize them, right?
Right.
You know, and somebody was part of this Michigan therapy dog team, so I started talking to him and ended up getting Max all trained up, and we did some amazing visits. I mean, to go into a memory ward with Alzheimer's patients and have them see this dog and just love on it was so cool. And I will tell you one story. So I'm knocking on the doors at the rehab, the Regency Rehab over off of Hill Road.
Yeah.
Hey, do you want to meet Max, the therapy dog? Yeah, I hear a voice. Yeah, come on in. So come in, and is this fella? He was a fire captain, retired, and he stroked out really bad. He had a little bit of use of his right hand, but nothing. He couldn't even reach over to pet him. So I tap on the bed, and Max jumps up in bed with him and puts his head on his lap so he could pet him.
Oh no!
So that's the story. I'm never gonna forget that one. You know, so
and the dog did it just instinctively.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is
Pretty
cool.
amazing. Yeah.
So you're at home, you're donating with the dog in the time, you're working as the golf pro down there. Yeah. And what's happened with your social life? Like, see anybody just living?
You know, I get the classic tale. My parents were really close friends with this other couple, and they had a daughter, and she was a widow.
And they're like, "Hey, how you doing?
You guys got to get hooked up." Now, I had known my wife's parents.
It was literally, my friend's got a daughter.
Well,
that's ironically
it was
funny.
great.
Cool. So you met, and she was it, huh?
Yeah, man. Yep.
What made it? I mean,
just we connected. You know, it was a spiritual level kind of connection between the two of us, and just kind of knew. You know.
So how long did you date this time?
4 months.
4 months.
Yeah.
You kept that connection quickly.
September, October. No. Yeah, we met in August, and we got married on New Year's Eve.
Okay. So. And that's cute.
Yeah,
boy, you are a little romantic type, funny.
Oh, I am. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So New Year's Eve. What year was this?
It's 20 years ago. So.
20 years ago. So 2003.
Yeah.
All right. So New Year's Eve of 2003, you get married, and you're like, okay. So how does that change your life?
Changed my life. You know, she has a daughter and a son. Son's out in New York City. Great life. Then we have the troubled child.
Well, sure.
Yeah. You know, so she became quite an issue with our life, and I ended up kicking her out of the house.
Oh no.
Okay.
How old is she?
She just graduated from high school.
Okay.
And, you know, stealing and stuff. And I warned her, you know, because it was not a good situation, her and her mother together and all that. And hey, you're an adult.
Very toxic, I mean.
You're an adult.
Yeah, sure.
You know,
it happens.
You got to live by the rules, or you got to leave.
Or you get to live your life on your own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I did it, and it's been quite an adventure ever since.
Sure.
Okay. I let her come back one time to live in the basement, a crude basement, because she had no place to live.
Yep.
Pissing in a bucket, and I said, "Okay, you want to be safe."
Yeah.
Then she did something else, stole some stuff, and I kicked her out in the middle of the night, in the middle of winter. She couldn't believe it. I get to take your hobo bag and get moving.
Hobo bag.
A couple years later, I let her come back in, and I let her sleep in a tent in my yard.
Wow. Did that work?
For a few months.
A few months, for real?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then she meets somebody, and they end up getting married and have 2 kids.
Okay.
Okay, so
how long did all this process take?
A couple years for them to have the 2 kids, 5 years, something like that.
All right, so before you get into the story, we're going to have to cut it off here. Scott, I want to thank you so much for coming in and hanging out. If this is your first time to Spiritual Warfare Unit, please go to Spiritual Warfare Unit, like, share, and subscribe. Help us help other people that need help. We all struggle with something. Thank you much for coming in, and we will get the rest of the story next time. Do you have a nonprofit in your area that's doing a lot of work that people should know about? Feel free to contact Spiritual Warfare Unit at 810-715-9319, and we would love to have them on to to see what good they're doing in the community and find out their story. Thank you so much.
Spent so much time believing the lies. I knew I wasn't meant to live this way. But my walls came down when your love shone through. Now my life will never be the same. You love me too much to let me stay this way.